All right, so get ready. We're about to take a deep dive into the world of wingsuit flying.
Yeah.
But we're not just going to talk about, the sport itself. We're going to look at it through a very specific lens, and that is the lyrics of a really powerful 80s rock song called Flight of the Soul.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so think soaring guitars, driving beat, and a vocalist who can, like, really belt it out.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting that you decided to use music as a lens here because I think that the energy of 80s rock really does complement a lot of the themes that we find in the song.
Oh, yeah.
It's about pushing limits, about embracing freedom, and really kind of living life on your own terms, which I think perfectly aligns with the spirit of wingsuit flying.
I think so, too. It's like almost the song itself is the wingsuit.
Yeah.
And it takes us on this thrilling ride through all of the emotions and the experiences of this extreme sport.
Yeah. And, even though the song is fictional, I think that it really captures something very real about what draws people to wingsuit flying.
Oh, for sure.
Like, for example, take a look at those opening lines. High above the world we rise. Cutting through the endless skies, gravity calls, but we defy, living to fly, living to fly.
Wow.
It really speaks to that very primal human desire to break free from those earthly constraints, to kind of experience a sense of liberation that I think very few other activities can offer.
Yeah, it's like tapping into that thing that we all have, that yearning for something that's beyond the ordinary.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes on to talk about moving, from the mountains to the sea, chasing freedom in this boundless space. From the mountains to the sea, we're chasing freedom, wild and free. The air is sharp, the wind's our guide. With every leap, we're alive inside.
Right.
You can almost feel the wind in your face and the vastness of everything below you.
I think that emphasis on the sensory experience is really, really key.
Yeah.
The song isn't just telling us about wingsuit flying, it's really immersing us in the feeling of it.
Yeah.
And, that connection to nature, that feeling of being completely enveloped by the elements, it's something that comes up again and again when you hear accounts from real wingsuit flyers.
Absolutely. A wingsuit dreams the earth's embrace, dancing with clouds, a boundless space.
Wow, yeah.
It's not just about adrenaline or anything like that. It's about
Yeah.
connecting to something that's larger than yourself.
Right.
But let's be real.
Hmm.
The song also acknowledges the emotional intensity, like the guts it takes to do this with lyrics like, no limits, no chains, no fear in sight. Our spirits soar into the night.
Yeah, that actually reminds me of the concept of the flow state.
Oh, yeah.
That psychologist Csikszentmihalyi describes.
Mhm.
It's that feeling of being, completely absorbed in an activity, where your skills are perfectly matched to the challenge at hand. You lose track of time, you're fully present. You experience this really profound sense of joy and fulfillment.
Okay.
And, for wingsuit flyers, to achieve that flow state amidst such inherent risks must be an incredibly powerful experience.
Yeah, it's like pushing yourself to the absolute limit, physically and mentally. The song even uses the word transcendent. Feel the rush, the wind's refrain. Through the heights we break the chains, the world below a canvas wide, painted by the fearless glide. It's like they're reaching a different level of consciousness.
Yeah, and that idea of transcendence actually ties into another key theme that I see in the song.
Okay.
And that's this idea of the soul flyer.
Mhm.
It's more than just, a person wearing a wingsuit. It's like a state of being.
It's a community, right? It's almost like a tribe of people who are united by this shared passion and this willingness to kind of push the boundaries of what's possible.
Right. We're soul flyers riding the sky, pushing the edge, learning to fly through the valleys, the cliffs, the blue. Every breath, a world brand new.
Wow.
That's a great observation, You often see that there's a strong sense of camaraderie within these extreme sports communities.
Oh, yeah.
They are pushing their own individual limits, but they're doing it together. They're supporting each other, they're sharing knowledge, they're sharing their experiences.
Yeah.
There's a real sense of belonging, like finding your tribe, so to speak.
And the song even mentions Norway's peaks and Chile shore. So it's suggesting that this adventurous spirit kind of transcends geographical boundaries. From Norway's peaks to Chile's shore, every dive leaves us craving more.
Yeah. And geographically speaking, those locations make sense.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have very specific terrain, mountains, cliffs, valleys,
Right.
to create the altitude and the air currents that are necessary for wingsuit flying.
Yeah.
Certain places just offer much better conditions for the sport.
It's like the world itself becomes their playground. But the song doesn't shy away from the risks involved either. The flare ignites the moments here. We face the drop without a fear. The air is thin, the thrill is real. A moment suspended, the world stands still. So how do you reconcile that sense of freedom with the inherent danger of the sport?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it really gets to the heart of what motivates wingsuit flyers.
Okay.
It's not about recklessness at all. It's about calculated risk. It's
Mhm.
about having this really deep respect for the forces of nature and understanding that even the smallest mistake can have, devastating consequences.
Oh, for sure.
It's about meticulous planning, rigorous training, and constantly honing your skills to mitigate that risk as much as possible.
So it's not just about the thrill, but
Yeah.
about pushing boundaries with a deep understanding of what could happen.
Precisely. It's a delicate balance, and perhaps that's something that we can all apply to our own lives, even if we're not jumping off of mountains in wingsuits.
Yeah.
The song urges us to chase dreams that others won't,
Mm.
living a life that fear forgot. It's
Hmm.
about identifying, what truly makes us feel alive, and then pursuing it with passion and with courage, even when it feels scary.
Okay, that's really interesting. It seems like there's this deeper message about living a life without fear. But is it always about these grand pursuits of flying?
Hmm.
Could it be about finding those smaller moments in everyday life that make us feel, well, a little bit like we're defying gravity?
That's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
And I think it's something worth exploring further. The song's bridge, for example, seems to touch upon this idea.
Okay.
It takes on kind of a more introspective tone. Every jump, every fall, every risk we give it all, the earth may call, but we won't stay. We're born to rise, we're born to play. So, this isn't just about these kind of fleeting moments of freedom.
Right.
It's about, a way of life, like
Look.
a commitment to pushing those boundaries and embracing the unknown.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It suggests that there are sacrifices involved.
Yeah.
That maybe this pursuit requires a different kind of mindset,
Yeah.
a willingness to let go of everything that's conventional. It's choosing a path less traveled and accepting all of the challenges that come with it.
Exactly. And, that actually reminds me of the work of Abraham Maslow,
Okay.
the psychologist who kind of developed this hierarchy of human needs.
Yeah.
He argued that, once our basic needs for survival and security are met,
Mm-hmm.
we're driven by this desire for self-actualization,
Okay.
fulfilling our potential and really living a life that's true to ourselves.
Yeah.
And for some people, that might actually mean seeking out those experiences that push them beyond their comfort zone,
Right.
that allow them to tap into like a deeper sense of purpose and meaning.
So maybe for wingsuit flyers, it's not just about the physical act of flying, but about the psychological and even spiritual fulfillment it brings.
Mm-hmm.
It's about aligning their actions with their deepest values and aspirations.
Precisely. And that sense of, self-discovery, of pushing beyond your own limitations
Yeah.
can be incredibly empowering. And it's reflected in these lines: with every beat, the world's alive. Through the clouds, we dive, we thrive. The wind's our song, the sky's our stage. We write our fate on every page. It's about taking ownership of your own path, choosing to live a life that's both extraordinary and authentic.
It really resonates with me, even though I'm not a wingsuit flyer, that's for sure. It's that idea that you can create your own destiny,
Right.
that you don't have to be limited by, fear or societal expectations.
Absolutely. And, perhaps that's one of the most powerful takeaways that we can get from Flight of the Soul.
Mhm.
This reminder that we all have the capacity to fly in our own unique ways.
Yeah.
It might not involve jumping off of a mountain,
Right.
but it could be about taking a leap of faith in our careers, pursuing a creative passion,
Yeah.
or, simply challenging ourselves to just step outside of those comfort zones and embrace new experiences.
It's about finding those moments, big or small,
Right.
where we feel that sense of freedom and exhilaration of being truly alive.
Exactly. And as we kind of move towards the end of the song,
Mm-hmm.
it's striking how it returns to this theme of, defying limitations and embracing the intensity of life.
Yeah, that final chorus and outro
Yeah.
really drive home this idea of transcending the boundaries of ordinary life. We're soul flyers riding the sky, pushing the edge, learning to fly through the valleys, the cliffs, the blue. Every breath, a world brand new. Soul flyers' hearts untamed. Fueling the fire, igniting the flame. This is our story. This is our fight. Flying through the day, soaring through the night. It's like a declaration of independence.
Yeah.
A refusal to be bound by gravity, literally and metaphorically.
Right. And then there's that really powerful repetition of those opening lines. High above the world we rise, cutting through the endless skies, gravity calls, but we defy. It's almost like a mantra.
Oh, yeah.
A reminder that We have that power to choose how we live, how we experience the world, and how we define our own limits.
Yeah, and that final line, "We're soul flyers and we'll never die," is particularly intriguing.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not meant to be taken literally, especially given the inherent risks of wingsuit flying.
Right. I mean, it would be irresponsible to suggest that wingsuit flyers are invincible.
Yeah, for sure.
But, I think that line speaks to a deeper truth about, the wingsuit flying mindset.
Okay.
It's about living so fully, so intensely in the present moment that you transcend the fear of death.
Right.
It's not about denying death, but it's about embracing life so completely
Yeah.
that death becomes almost irrelevant.
Wow, that's a powerful thought.
Yeah.
It's about living a life that's so aligned with your passions, your values, your sense of purpose, that you have no regrets, even in the face of mortality. And maybe that's something we can all aspire to,
Absolutely.
regardless of whether we ever actually fly in a wingsuit.
And that brings us to the heart of the matter.
But
That question that lingers after listening to Flight of the Soul. What does it truly mean to live to fly?
I think that's a question each of us needs to answer for ourselves.
Yeah.
Because flying can take so many different forms.
Right.
It could be literal flight, like in wingsuit flying,
Mm-hmm.
or it could be a metaphorical flight, pursuing a creative passion, traveling the world,
Right.
breaking free from societal expectations, taking a leap of faith in your career or relationships.
It's about finding what makes you feel truly alive, what gives you that sense of freedom and exhilaration.
Yeah.
Maybe it's about pushing yourself a little further than you think you can go, embracing a bit of risk, and discovering just how far you can truly soar.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Flight of the Soul, the challenge for each of us is to find our own version of flying.
Yeah.
What's that thing, big or small, that makes you feel like you're pushing your own boundaries?
That's something for you to ponder, because the journey to discover your own flight of the soul is a deeply personal one.
It's interesting how a song about something as extreme as wingsuit flying can speak to so many different people, on a personal level.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, not everybody is going to, jump out of a plane with a wingsuit, but those big themes that it touches on, freedom and risk and self-discovery. I mean, that's pretty universal stuff, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's, part of what makes Flight of the Soul so compelling.
Yeah.
It taps into this, collective yearning that we all have for something more.
Right.
Those experiences that kind of push us beyond what we think we're capable of. It's like the song is giving us permission, to explore our own potential, to kind of embrace the unknown and, really define for ourselves what flying means to us.
Yeah, like maybe your version of flying is starting a business that you've always dreamed of, even if it means, taking a financial risk.
Right.
Or maybe it's finally, booking that solo trip around the world, even if it scares you a little bit.
Exactly. It's about figuring out those things that make you feel truly alive.
Right.
And then, having the courage to pursue them even when those doubts start to creep in. Remember those lyrics? We're chasing dreams that others won't. Living a life that fear forgot.
No.
It's a call to action. It's like an invitation to break free from, the constraints of fear and those societal expectations.
Like it's saying, don't just exist live.
Yeah.
Like find your passion, find your purpose, and go after it with, your whole heart.
And that is such an empowering message,
Yeah.
especially, in a world that often tells us to just play it safe,
Right.
Follow the well-worn path, Flight of the Soul, reminds us that we have the power to choose a different path, a path that's much more, in line with our authentic selves.
Right.
It's about writing our own stories, creating our own adventures, and really just defining our own destinies.
And maybe that's, the most enduring legacy of this song and, the wingsuit flying community that it represents.
Right.
It's this inspiration, to break free from limitations, to embrace risk and possibility, and really just live a life that's filled with passion and purpose.
Precisely. It's a reminder that, the human spirit is capable of extraordinary things.
Right.
We can soar to heights that we never thought possible.
Mm-hmm.
And while not all of us may literally fly, we can all find ways to kind of elevate our lives.
Yeah.
To reach for something, beyond the ordinary and to experience that exhilarating feeling of freedom.
That's a great thought to end on, I think. It's been a really cool deep dive into Flight of the Soul, and I really hope that you, the listener, have found it as interesting and, thought-provoking as we have.
Maybe this song has sparked some ideas, some dreams you've been putting off, or maybe it's even rekindled a passion that you'd forgotten about.
Whatever it is, just remember this.
Yeah.
You have wings. Don't be afraid to use them. So until next time, keep chasing those dreams, keep pushing those boundaries, and keep living that life that fear forgot.